Welcome back, and we're moving into our second conversation for today, a very important one as well. Today, May 31st, is being celebrated globally as World No Tobacco Day. And taking the lead from the Ministry of Health on this issue is the National Drug Abuse Control Council. And we have two representatives with us. We have Errol Longsworth, who works as the Rehabilitation and Treatment Unit Coordinator for the country and is also the Outreach Caseworker for Corozal. And we have Tricia Belle, who is the District Coordinator for Cayo. Good morning and welcome.
Morning.
Morning. Thank you for having us.
So, one of the things that jumped out at me was that normally, well, for me, I associate tobacco with lung disease. And it appears that this year the focus is on heart disease. Talk to us a little bit about that, well, for at least my mental shift, my mental misconception.
Oh, well, every year we focus on different aspects of what tobacco, the various effects of what tobacco causes. Last year we focused on tobacco and the economy, so this year we're focusing on tobacco and heart disease. The year before that we focused on tobacco and cancer, and the year before that we focused on tobacco and lungs. So every year we try a different aspect of the effects of tobacco and the causes. So May 31st, like Marlene said, is an initiative from the World Health Organization, and it focuses on the health risks and other risks associated with tobacco use, tobacco consumption. So it's second-hand smoke, third-hand smoke, and all of that.
Yeah. Now, I always find this an interesting day to celebrate. You know, if we travel anywhere outside of Belize, you almost feel like Belize is a non-smoking society compared to other places. You see a lot more people smoking. But in fact, there still are tons of cigarettes coming into the country being sold. We're collecting taxes from it. So it is a drug that's being used. What do we know about current tobacco use in the country? And how do you reach out to try to change the habit or break the habit?
Our information of tobacco users would come from our Global Youth Tobacco Survey. And the latest one was held in 2014. And we focus on young people aged 13 to 15. And the result of that was that over 12% of young people are using a form of tobacco product. The reason why I guess you don't see a lot of people smoking in Belize is because we recently launched this tobacco-free spaces in Belize. So it prohibits smoking in public spaces, government building, any way that the public has access to public transportation. So if you go into any Ministry of Health buildings, you will see no smoking signs. We urge restaurants to have smoking and non-smoking section because it brings up the fact that secondhand smoking is one of the leading causes of not only cardiovascular disease but death worldwide.
So it's 12% of our youth population, of our overall population?
Of our youth population.
Are smokers.
They have used
tobacco products.
What this includes cigarettes.
Cigarettes. You get we have the
products.
smokeless tobacco. We have the
vapes.
The vapes. Once it contains nicotine, so that's our focus. The nicotine.
The nicotine factor.
Yeah.
How do you fight that though? Because it's the new hip thing. Everywhere you go in the club, it's all vapes. It's who can do all of these fancy. How is it challenge? I understand that you get to these whole regulations and say, listen, you will die. There's these big, bold writings on the packages that saying smoking kills, you will die immediately after the cigarette. But it's still very sexy, it's still very young, it's still very rebellious. And it has evolved now that it's not the brown and white thing anymore. It's these machines.
More attractive.
It's more attractive.
Yes, the e-cigarettes.
How are you meeting that?
Well, we start off, there's this new Empower initiative. I don't know if you guys know about it, but it's from the World Health Organization as well. And it focuses, one of the aspects of the R, it stands for raise taxes on tobacco. And the E is to enforce bans on tobacco advertisement and sponsorship. And that's why now you see the big bold signs on the cigarettes. But for the e-cigarettes, it's a little tricky because they focus on the youth population with the various flavors, with the chocolate, the strawberries. So that's where I come in terms of education. it's not an easy task because at the end of the day, any drug use is a choice.
Yeah.
So, but we try to focus on the fact that this is what it does to your body because of the nicotine in it.
Yeah, it's you actually get, this is an interesting thing, you actually get more nicotine from a vape than you do from cigarettes. Like you can be more addicted to a vape because nicotine is the addictive quality.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and
this
there
is
are much
so-
more attractive ones
Yeah.
than those. They have some, if you would notice the package that it comes in, sometimes you think that it's like a juice box or something because it has like apples and strawberries.
But speaking of packaging, I remember, was it last year or the year before, when the WHO worked with all member states to move towards changing the packaging of cigarettes. And it's amazing because they actually called it the ugliest color in the world. Like they did research. What color repulsed people the most? And it was this weird shade of brown. And that all packages of cigarettes would, no matter if it used to be gold, pink, yellow, beautiful carton, had to have this color with the big smoking will kill you because that would lessen the appeal. Have we seen that in Belize as yet?
Yeah, currently, because that was held 2 years ago. That was the initiative 2 years ago, changing the packaging. Also, the warning sign was years before that.
Yeah.
So every year, it touches different aspects in trying to help people to stray away from smoking.
Yeah.
So that's why every year it's different aspect. Like this year is cardiovascular.
Yeah.
So every approach, you're trying to hit it on every approach, every stand. Packaging, advertising. So narrow it down to Belize now. You say about how the work is being done here. One of the main things that would help us would be the actual tobacco policy, which is currently in draft. So right now, the work is kind of harder. It's pretty much harder because we don't have the policies in place to help regulate everything when it comes to tobacco products, tobacco use.
Yeah.
But in 2010, the sign-on to the memorandum was standing Article 8, which prevents smoking in public spaces.
Yeah.
So that's why the whole initiative of no smoking sign all over the place. Like if you're sitting in a restaurant, how uncomfortable would it be if you're eating and you're in an AC room and it's filled with smoke? So then you're trying to enjoy yourself, but then there's secondhand smoking just hitting you in the face. Left, right, and center. And then you can't enjoy your meal that way because it tastes like tobacco. So the initiative is there, and we're working hard in trying to help promote the when it comes to secondhand smoking.
If I'm right though, if I recall, the last time we had a tax cut or a tax decrease, it was on cigarettes. That's as I recall it. Am I right? We are increasing the cost of alcohol, but I'm sure that the last tax cut we had was on cigarettes. I can't remember what year it was, but I'm sure that we
I
went.
think that's just the general sin tax. It actually increases for both.
For both?
Yeah, it's
for
a
both.
general sin tax. Sin, the things that are bad for you.
But this is a popular thing. I mean, we're looking at 1.1 billion people around the world who are smoking. You know, the numbers in Belize, and one of the things I want to focus into as well, because as you were talking about, is tobacco-related things in it. There's a thing that's being smoked on the streets, which is Fonto.
The tobacco leaf.
Yeah.
It's tobacco, and
It has nicotine, yes.
it's more popular than that thing that looks that way.
And they put the marijuana in there,
In
they
it,
roll
and
it,
that,
and
and
they
that is
smoke
that
it.
is rolled.
And that's actually, what's the equation? If you use a tobacco leaf,
Okay, so it's like your
polydrug use.
It's like
You're
fuel.
yeah. So you're
So-
using one
Yeah.
to help minimize or strengthen the capacity of the other drug.
oh,
And it's two different effects.
Yeah.
So tobacco would give you a different high than marijuana. So if you're smoking the marijuana within the Fonto, it's like your body not knowing what to do basically. And especially if you're a young person, it affects you differently.
yeah.
So because you're young, your brain is still growing, your body is still growing. So your hormones don't know what to do. Should I stay mellow? Should I...
So it can be even more dangerous.
Yeah.
More dangerous for young people.
But
Now, I don't want to make, sorry, just I wanted to get to one thing here because I think we have this conversation and I know it's so important for us to talk about what you'll be doing and prevention. But one of the key aspects is you cut down secondhand smoking if you cut down smokers.
Yeah.
What's being done? This message this day is important for people to never try or but it's also important to people to quit. What do we say to people who do smoke? It is a brain addiction. Nicotine tells your brain,
Yes.
I need you at this time, and if I don't get you, your world will fall apart. What do we do to intervene with persons who have developed the habit and get them to become non-smokers?
Alright. So first of all, the first one is a choice.
Yeah.
I choose to smoke if I want. And then, so when it comes to that person who have the choice, we have to talk to them about the effects it has on them. Most of them will be like, I've been smoking all these years and I'm still healthy and everything.
And one old man who's 90 and still is smoking.
And then we trying to tell them that smoking is affecting them. It's like, you're beating a dead dog. But we still bring out the message to them that this is what it's causing.
Yeah.
Then we bring out secondhand smoking. So now, you're not, you might not care about yourself, but you have to care about the people around you. You giving out that smoke and affecting those around you. Your grandchild might be there. How much do you love that grandchild? Be aware of your surroundings, the people who you are around, and how much you care for them. Because it's they don't have a choice when it comes to smoking. You're not giving them that choice. They're just there inhaling everything. Then third-hand smoking. You might be leaving a room and all the smokes, chemicals are trapped on clothes, on the sofa set. And now I enter this room, I don't have a choice that, I'm being affected by this substance. But then I'm here now and inhaling all these chemicals. And my immune system, my whole makeup might be weaker than yours. Like if in my case, I suffer asthma. Any smoke will affect me in one shape or form. So now I didn't have that choice. You took that choice away from me. So we try to narrow it down to them so that, because it's an overall mental approach that we, yes, there's nicotine patch that will combat, the cravings and everything, but it's a decision that you have to make that I'm ready to quit. And then we guide them through the whole process and everything.
Now,
and give
how
them options
successful-
and give them options with the various stuff that we have out there to help quit smoking. Like Errol said, with the patches, they have the
Chewing.
pills, they have the chewing gums.
Yeah.
So we give them options, and they have to want to quit. And we do a lot of follow-up. So, like I said, every drug use is a choice. So if the person would not want to change their lifestyle, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
They have to want
You
to.
can't force someone
can't
to
force
quit
someone.
any addiction.
No.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but we can help them to be cognizant of the fact that there are other people within their spaces who
And develop coping mechanisms.
You know what, Kevin, that I think is one of the greatest misconceptions that people have, which is, I see my granny was 80, 90,
Still
she
smoke.
smoked till she passed away from something else.
Exactly.
And oftentimes that something else is the very same thing that you're focusing on this year. How does tobacco affect the body? We know it can, it is a risk factor for all forms of cancer, but especially lung. But how does it affect the other parts of the body? Why does a smoker have a higher chance of having a stroke at a younger age or a heart attack at a younger age?
Well, the thing with nicotine when you smoke it is it has to do a lot with the blood vessels, and one of our biggest organs in our body that has a lot of blood vessels is our heart. So nicotine constricts the blood vessels, so it gives it like a false sense of pump. So the heart doesn't know what to do, so it's like working overtime than someone who is not a smoker. And so that interrupts the heart, the regular functions of the heart, and that leads to cardiovascular disease. And combined with other health issues, it can lead to a stroke.
I have friends who smoke, and none of them really, when they're lighting up a cigarette or using tobacco in another way, none of them are thinking, you know what, this is affecting my heart. Most of them are thinking, you know what, I am stressed out. And
Why they smoke? That's
why
a
do
big
you
question.
smoke? So
Why do you smoke?
people look at this. Listen, wars have been started over tobacco. I mean, the American Revolution was funded using tobacco. It has been around since King Hatchet was a hammer. How do you get people away from saying, listen, I had to relieve my stress?
Yeah.
This is I'm stressed out. I'm also poor, because there's a correlation between availability of cigarettes and tobacco in poorer countries than they are in richer ones. Belize is 40% poverty line. We have to smoke, miss. It's not like we want to.
No, that's why like in treatment, there's no medication to cure you from drugs.
Yeah.
So our biggest question is when people come to us is why are you using it? Then we don't fight the drug because we can't stop you from it. We don't fight it.
You have to know your triggers. So we that is the whole aspect of the counseling session that we have to
Your relationship is a trigger.
Yeah, find out your triggers, and when you find out your triggers,
Your
because
job,
if you're not stressed out,
Yeah.
it leads to the whole point. There are ways of how you can handle stressful situations at work, but there are just some people who are more hyper.
You know what? You know the biggest thing?
Psychologically, though, addictions are hardwired into your brain. Like you develop a neuropath.
Yeah.
When,
Because it's a disease,
when somebody tells me no,
It's a
I
brain.
want to go to this behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I fail at something, I need to go to this behavior. And so that's where I'd imagine counseling is very important, because you have to tell people, okay, no, we're not going right anymore. It's not to whatever drug. It is now to what?
Yeah.
What is
Because-
what do you find to be most effective in helping people to move beyond using this as a coping mechanism, which it is for many, and that's how you develop the addiction, to something else? What is the something else?
Well, most of the time we try to, because of our mandate on healthy lifestyles, we try to encourage people to eat healthy, because healthy foods have natural stuff in there that is similar to the nicotine in a tobacco. Exercising has different, you produce endorphins, so it has the happy signals to your
signals.
brain. So rather than feeling stressed out, you're exercising. So you'll find that helps a lot. It's not a one fix situation. It's not an easy fix. It's not something that everybody would benefit from, because they would say, okay, I don't want to exercise, so what else I can do? So we try to offer various options, but those are the most.
But everybody's unique.
exercising.
Everybody's unique. I might not like exercising, so we have to find different ways. I
Yeah.
might not like eating healthy, but then we have to start at some point to start working towards trying to make that person more.
But the cigarette is easier. If you go run, put on my socks, all I do is take out the pack it up, sit and.
Like we
it's much
said,
easier.
we said, you have to want to quit.
Want.
Okay,
That's
so
the
we can't
first step.
force anyone, because it's a choice.
And then
it's a choice to be
if you have
here
a person
today.
like that say, it's easier for me. Okay, so we start focusing on you and we start focusing on people around you. How much do you love that person around you?
Yeah.
Because if you are not doing it for you, then we have to find somebody or something that you're willing to do it for. Because if you want a change, we take them through the stages of change. We start, if they're like right now, you're in a pre-contemplation stage that, I don't want to change, there's no reason for me to change. So we try to move them through the stages of change until we reach to a point where they can maintain that their habit. And a point that, I'm totally out of it. But it's a series, it's not an overnight task.
And if you're
It's not an overnight
People
task.
have guilt about their addictions, whether it's you drink too much, you smoke, you use whatever else. It's like,
Doesn't that make you?
It's just a coping mechanism for something that they're going through in their life. I don't do drugs because I was born this way using drugs or anything. It's
or one of the common things they say is, well, something's going to
Gotta
kill me
anyway.
But I always
That's
remember
when,
a doctor
if
telling
you focus
me,
on the fact that tobacco use or smoking is not a disease, then you tend to have those views towards it. It's actually a disease. So a lot of people feel like, oh, they can just quit, is what they want. No, like Marlene said, it's wired into your brain. So it's a disease. So we have to treat it as such.
yeah.
Okay.
And I always use the opportunity to say, when we know very few people who die in their sleep. Most people who have bad habits and say things like that, it's the most selfish if you have a family to say it, because your family suffers. If you have cancer and you have to go through treatment, what happens to your family?
And
If
it's
you have
expensive.
a stroke and become disabled, what happens to your family? If I get liver disease from drinking, for example, what happens to my family? And it's not just dying tomorrow.
You see, and
It's a drawn out.
then people don't see the link between it. Like, a lot of traffic accidents happen because somebody was driving without due care of attention, but they don't put the fact that that person was drinking. Alcohol had some fact. Smoking, I might die with, I might be having stroke, but it's might be my son or somebody around me is smoking. So the factor is there, but it's not known because we don't do anything to investigate and see, okay, why did this person die? We only see the overall issue, you know, he died because of stroke, but something might lead it to that stroke.
Can I ask the extreme question? Do you think that cigarettes and nicotine should be illegal?
Of course it should. But we have to...
You shouldn't be able to even buy it.
Exactly, but we have to be aware of the fact that we have choices. We are only human, right?
But those are bad choices.
But those are things
It's
that...
a choice that you make.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Marijuana was off the table.
It's
Did
a
that
human
stop people
nature
from
to have
smoking?
choice.
No, but it made it a
Exactly.
lot more difficult.
But did it stop people from
And it doesn't have
smoking?
all of these.
But did it stop people from smoking?
Okay, let's look at let's look at this, right? We've tried, well, indirectly.
No, but I think that's a political issue with
Yes.
whether or not, and we asked that to the Ministry of Health when they were here, you know, it's the same thing with unhealthy food and other unhealthy products. It is a government decision
Yes.
where
And
people
at
who
one,
have
and at
monetary
one point,
interests.
alcohol was
Illegal,
illegal,
prohibition,
and
yeah.
because of the financial benefits, you know,
But we tried to raise.
it's the same public that made it, that advocate for alcohol to be legal. They want, so it's a choice for them to advocate for what they want.
The reason why we have World No Tobacco Day is not to say regulate it, it's say no tobacco. The approach in sloganism appears to be, listen, this thing should be like crack.
Yeah.
That's what it should, they're on the same level.
Yeah.
But we seem to have a tolerance for it other places, and it drives costs. In San Pedro, for example, I have a friend who smokes, and he was telling me that in San Pedro, the police lock you down more for cigarettes because the cost of a cigarette out there is like a 50 cents. 4 cigarettes or 5 cigarettes is a pack bread. It's like it's cost of a ramen and 1 cigarette. It's the same. So my thing is that if this is such a compulsive, addictive drug, that our approach to it, as I say with every other thing that's a bad decision, is much too soft. We're sending mixed signals. Do you agree or disagree?
In a sense, but you have to think about the bigger picture, which is like so above me and Errol's pay scale. But you have to think about who is benefiting from the legalization of tobacco. If it has so many bad effects, why is it still available? Right?
It's so
but
expensive.
we
Why
have
do
to
people still
focus
buy it?
we have to focus on our aspect of education
Which
and
is the
his fair
people.
treatment, which is people, and give them that choices. That's why the whole highlight of World No Tobacco Day, especially for today, is increasing awareness. So we're inviting the public to come out, access that information. If you're a smoker, non-smoker, if you have pets even, because it affects pets the same way as humans, come out and view our booths, ask questions to our coordinators that will be out there. It gives us
Where
a
is it
whole
gonna be
highlight.
held?
It will be on 25 Amara Avenue, right in front of our drug council.
And the wonderful
office.
school of Grace Primary.
Yes. So
Yes, a
they have
wonderful school.
first-hand access.
So what do you say to people who are watching this and saying, oh, I want to kick the habit, maybe I've even tried and failed before, about reaching out maybe to NDACC, or is there another institution to get some help to finally relieve themselves of this burden?
Well, we have a drug council office in every district, so they can just come into the office, and there will be an outreach caseworker like Mr. Errol right there to help them with whatever question and to inform them of whatever steps that they can go through in order to quit.
And
to help them with the
and he has little
information.
starter packs of
Chewing gum.
And you do?
In Orange Walk once, we had a medical mission who supplied us with some.
Where is our tobacco usage the worst? I'm interested. Is it in the villages? Is it in Belize City? Where do we have the biggest problem with tobacco usage?
Currently, this year is supposed to be our next global youth tobacco survey. So we're in the bid to let that happen because we need to try to update our information because the last one was 4 years ago. So we don't
things
know
have
where
changed.
the country stands right now at
In
this
terms of
point.
prevalence.
Yeah, so we put the bid is in already to get this survey on so that we can try to get that information. Because, we're doing the awareness and everything, but then we need to know our position.
Scientifically,
Yeah.
And within the Global Youth Tobacco Survey, didn't focus on like specific villages. So maybe within the next one, you can.
Yeah, and
put
also
that
look at
in.
vape use. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So today at NDACC office in Belize City is the commemoration of World No Tobacco Day.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in and telling us all about it this morning.
Thank you for having us again.
Good luck.
All right. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we'll be joined by three valedictorians from 3 different high schools to have a conversation about their own school experience. That's coming up after the break.